weird for you?
I'm right my head. No.
Yeah.
No, I think. Yeah.
All right. Well, the music was on, but I just asked Chef Sydney Arkin here if
Should I wear the
it's
headphones?
weird. I mean, it's for you, basically. It's so you can tell that you're speaking well into the microphone. Occasionally, I will put them on at the beginning, but we already did all the testing, so I know that it's fine. So it's all good. So how are you?
I'm good. How
Chilling?
are you doing?
Week before Thanksgiving, you're probably busy as fuck.
I am.
Yeah?
I didn't expect a lot of people to be going for ice cream. Like, I'm doing I call it an a la mode ice cream. It's one of my ice creams with no mix-ins, just for topping pies. I didn't expect for all the ice cream to sell out immediately. So now I'm scrambling a little.
So you just did like a regular vanilla a la mode side?
Well, no, I did.
What do you mean? Or pie with ice cream?
No, I'm selling a pint of bourbon sweet cream. And then I'm also doing an apple walnut streusel ice cream. And I'm selling that in both pints and in pies.
Okay.
And then a butter pecan, brown sugar, brown butter pecan. And that's also in pints and pies. I just thought that people would be going to like real pie people. So I'm like flattered and honored and scrambling a little.
It's a good problem to have.
The best problem.
Yeah. So when you even fathom doing something like a Thanksgiving to go, something like that, do you have a target amount of people that you're prepping for? Or you just sort of like set up the order, cut it off, and then produce everything?
So I know about how much I can produce in a week, and I go based off of the week prior and just how many batches of ice cream I'm trying to make. And then whoever buys that ice cream, that's how much I sell.
Yeah, and then the flavors are pretty wild. Do you just, if they pop in your head, you try it kind of thing? Or are you like actively searching out different concoctions and like trying to make different recipes?
I'd say it's probably 50-50.
Right.
Or really, a lot of times names will come to me first, and then I'll back out what the flavor is.
Okay. So you're like writing a song in ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Because just 'cause I'm into music, so you always hear like how they write the song, and usually it's either idea first or beat first and then lyrics or whatever the fuck. So that's a good creative process. You don't limit yourself.
Yeah. And I think, before this, I was in advertising.
Right.
And I was writing commercials. So writing often comes easier to me than cooking. So I'm like, oh, I've written a good name. Now, how do I make that name come to life?
The marketing aspect is something that we fail at here in the culinary world. So thanks for being in our world now, so we can pick your brain without feeling like you have to call advertising people, be like, how do you, because there's a lot of people out there that are, talented and they just can't sell themselves. So it's like nobody knows. And unfortunately, those businesses don't last. But you've been doing this shit for 2 years now.
Yes.
Did you try anything else before this, after, like during pandemic, I assume?
No. Basically, I was in advertising for like 10, 11 years. And towards the end, I was just fucking miserable.
Right.
And I got my dream job, hated it.
What was the dream job?
I was a creative director at an agency in San Francisco.
Okay. And why did you hate it?
It wasn't the agency's fault, but, first of all, I started in January of 2020.
Right.
And then by March of 2020, we're isolated. And when I came on, my whole goal was to build out a team and help them do more broadcast work, commercials. And the minute that the pandemic started, advertising just shut down because TV wasn't filming. So then we were not going to film ads. And the team I was supposed to build out, then the head count got narrowed down from like 4 to 1. And now I just had always assumed that like when I become a creative director, like that's it. The clients will listen to me. They don't.
Doesn't happen.
No, it's like your customers being able to tell you everything that they want different about your food. And it's like, you're the chef. They're not the chef.
Right.
Except they're the client, so they get whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I just hated it. And I bought an ice cream maker and taught myself how to make ice cream. And I always joked in meetings, like, one day when I retire from advertising and I start an ice cream company, and we'd all have a wonderful laugh about that. And then I got laid off and was like, what the fuck am I going to do with my life? And I had a socially distant 4-person party. And one of my friends there, Mark, who's the founder of Square Pie Guys, tried my ice cream, and he was like, just sell ice cream. And I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, I guess I can do that.
Yeah.
Like, he made a very similar career change a few years prior from sales into pizza. So I was like, oh, if he can do it, then why the fuck won't I?
Yeah. Okay. That's dope.
Yeah.
Pretty dope. We'll get to that. You know, here at Sucio Talk, we take it all the way back.
All the way back.
Where were you born?
I was born in New York.
New York.
New York.
The main Manhattan or upstate?
I was born like a half hour outside of Manhattan.
Right.
My parents were divorced.
Right.
No, it's okay. My mom lived in the suburbs. My dad lived in New York.
Right.
Split my time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. What was eating like growing up?
Terrible.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Well,
freezer stuff?
Mostly like Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Right.
Or like Honey Nut Cheerios.
Did you know that it was horrible at the time? Or was it just like, whatever, bro?
No, it was awesome. Like,
yeah.
All my friends wanted to have dinner at my place because it was like, oh, we're going to have pizza for dinner? Great.
Okay.
And yeah.
I love that. I grew up on some freezer stuff. Tyson barbecue, honey barbecue wings were a hot commodity in my house. My mom would be like, you can have 6 of them because we had to make the bag last for the week. So I'd be like, then I would have 8. And then at the end of the week, I'd just be like, fuck. But I didn't tell her. How many wings did you eat? 2. No, it's all right. We had some, I ate some bimbo cookies. I'll be all right. Any siblings?
I have one sister and a stepbrother.
Oh, okay. Heard that. Okay. So what was school like? Were you into sports, anything like that?
I was a gymnast for most of my childhood. And then after that, I was a dancer. I technically like played softball, but they mostly put me in like the outfield where I would never have to do anything. I was very bad at it.
Okay.
But most of my life was about gymnastics. So that also probably contributed to the food thing. Like gymnasts and food aren't known for really meshing well.
Right. Did you have any dreams of being like professional gymnast?
Oh yeah. Like
it was like serious.
I was convinced I was going to the Olympics. I didn't come close, but I really believed it to my core that I would.
Yeah. Is it also the coaches and teachers telling you this? That you're going to make it to the Olympics if
I don't remember if they did that, but I went to a gym, like we did have people who went to the Olympics for my gym, and all of the coaches were Ukrainian and Russian medalists in the Olympics. So we had like Olympic level training, but a lot of us were probably not very good.
Okay. And when did that dream when did you know, like, I don't think this is going to be?
I started having knee problems. I'm wearing a knee brace right now.
Okay.
And that was kind of like, and also as I was growing, I was very flexible and I could do all the like contortionist stuff, but I wasn't gaining any muscle, so I couldn't really do any of the things that you need to do to be a real gymnast, like bars and flips and all of that. So yeah, probably around like 12 or 13, we were like, not going to make it.
Was that devastating for you?
Yeah. Yes, but I also was becoming more and more miserable doing it because the coaches were getting harder and harder, and I just couldn't meet the standard.
Right. That is a lot of pressure for a young mind to have. It's almost adult level pressure.
Yeah, I was in the gym like 6 days a week.
Right. Plus school.
Plus
family shit. Plus having siblings. That whole dynamic. Older or younger?
Both younger.
Okay. So big sis playing around.
Yes.
Okay. And you guys lived in New York your whole childhood?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your first job?
When I was like 7. No, I must have been a little bit older. My stepdad used to work.
7?
No, when I was like 9, my
Someone's
stepdad.
getting arrested after this podcast.
I made bracelets because my stepdad worked for a buttons, beads, and ribbon company. So
Yeah.
he would bring home beads, and I would bead these bracelets and then sell them.
Okay.
I was hustling.
You were hustling since you were young.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I started babysitting when I was 12.
Okay.
My mom sat me down. She's like, if you ever want to have a car, you need to start saving for it now. And I was like, heard that.
That's awesome. That's a
Yeah.
good foresight right there, Mom.
Oh,
Shout
yeah.
out
Get
to
me
her.
started early.
Yeah.
So I was a babysitter for a bunch of years, and then I was a lifeguard and a swim instructor.
Oh, okay. Got you. So very athletic, working, doing whatever. At this point, do you know what you want for your future? Is advertising in your eyes?
I knew I wanted to do something creative.
Okay.
I think at one point I was like, I'll be a makeup artist or a photographer.
Were you drawing, sketching?
Yeah, I was drawing. I liked photography more than drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think by the time I got to college, I knew I wanted to go into advertising.
Okay.
My dad and my stepmom are in advertising. It was very easy to see how creative it could be and how fun it could be and how, I guess, no, they didn't show me how fun it could be. They mostly were like, don't. And I was like,
Don't do it.
yeah.
Right. But then you'd see the end product and you'd be like, that's so cool.
So fucking cool.
Were they part of any projects that we would know? Any popular?
Oh, yeah. My dad was a producer for a bunch of years, and then he was a rep. He represents visual effects companies.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm trying to think of, I'd say, at least the guys who do Wallace and Gromit.
Okay.
My dad works with them.
Dope.
Yeah, that's probably.
Claymation?
Claymation. He.
Do they just have 84 Wallaces and
Probably.
a bunch of Gromits?
I think so. He used to also, before that, he worked with this guy, Will Vinton, who did the California Raisins.
Okay.
If you remember back in the day.
No.
They were the singing raisins. They sang
California
oh my God.
Raisins?
Yeah.
And they sang?
Yeah. The 90s were a weird
It
time.
sounds a really ugly,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It wasn't like colorful Teletubbies.
No. It was gross.
Do you think that the California Raisins inspired the Teletubbies?
I
They were
doubt
like,
it.
why don't we just add a little bit of color to this and change their creature?
I mean, they put raisins on the map, I
Yeah.
guess.
That was the last time dried fruit was ever respected.
Correct.
Okay. Heard that, California Raisins.
And then my stepmom worked on Macy's and Maybelline and Garnier and Stouffer's and just every big brand she's been involved in.
Okay. If she's working on that, do you have the products available at your house? Are you eating Stouffer's and using the perfumes?
We weren't eating Stouffer's, but we did have exclusively Garnier stuff.
Yeah.
Or, I think she did L'Oreal. I remember getting the
Ooh, L'Oreal
L'Oreal's-
Kids.
L'Oreal
Tear-free
Kids.
shampoo.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I
Your mom did that shit?
Yeah.
Damn. Did she invent tear-free shampoo?
No.
I'm going to go ahead and just give her that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was all of her brainchild.
Yes.
Or she came home one day and had the entire cast of Buffy's signature for each me and my sister.
That's so
And we're
cool. Yeah. Freaking out. Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. So you want to be in advertising at this point. Do you like school? Are you good at school? Do you love it?
Yeah, I'd say
Okay.
in high school, I was good at school until I went off my ADD medication, and then I was not.
What ADD medication were you on?
At that time, Concerta.
Concerta. I think I took that.
Still on it to this day. Love it.
Still on it to this day.
I mean, I went back on, yeah,
Got you. How many years have you been on it?
since I was in 3rd or 4th grade.
Have you ever taken any breaks?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you find is the difference when you're on it versus off of it?
I can like complete a task when I'm on it.
Okay.
If I'm not taking it, I have zero capability of focusing.
Zero.
Like, I think I probably have like 60 tabs open on my computer, and my goal is to, at the end of the day, to close all of them, but I always just end up opening more tabs. Like, executive functioning is not my strength.
Right. So you just start 40 things,
Yeah.
finish maybe half of one, and then worry about the other 39.
Yeah, and then
the
like
whole time.
distract myself with something else.
Right. Is there anything other than the medicine that helps you in the least, like at all? Like I found that blasting death metal helps me focus.
Really?
Yeah, because you're not. It's like not letting you think about anything else.
Fascinating.
I call ADHD mental pinball.
Yes.
You're just like, and there's like, so how do I slow that down? Then I put the death metal in. It's like a lot of noise, so I don't hear the clinging. And I can just like do one thing.
Oh, I'm going to try that.
Yeah. I mean, you can do it with like club music works too, but it needs to be loud. It needs
Yeah.
to be the only thing that, like if I'm driving, that's something that's also that I figured out. Because if I'm driving and I see something that's interesting, I'll like turn my whole head. And like, that's fucking horrible, right? But it's like, it's just the way I'm wired. So now I know that if I'm driving and it's like dangerous, I need to turn up the volume all the way and just focus on driving.
Yeah.
So I do that when it comes to like papers or like if I need to finish something.
Oh, I have to try that.
But I haven't tried any medicine. So, and like, when did you get diagnosed? When you were young?
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Right. Do you remember any of the tests that they did?
I remember doing the testing. The only one I like remember clearly was they put a bunch of electrodes on like my head and my body, and I don't know what they were testing for. I guess to make sure that like my brain was fully
your
functioning.
Signals are firing off, correct?
Yeah, and
right.
that came out fine. I remember thinking the testing was really fun. That's it.
Do you find that the ADHD also affects your personal life? Like relationships, like getting back to people on time? I find that that's the hardest thing for me.
It's
like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
To be like, but also there's part of me that says, I don't want to feel pressured to answer a text message right away. Like it shouldn't be like, oh, I need the answer this instant. So I almost like have a sort of discipline with that and like, I'm going to answer this in 24 hours.
That's good.
But
that like gives you a schedule. Like
For sure.
If I don't respond to a text message the minute I see it, I will forget about it.
That happens also.
And then on the flip side, if I see a text message that I don't have an answer immediately, I'm like, I'm now stressed. Now I'm afraid to get back to that person. My therapist basically said like, it's a dopamine issue. I mean, all of ADHD is a dopamine issue. And if you're not getting a hit of dopamine from an action, your brain is basically like, don't
fucking do it. Whoa.
And when you think of it like that, it's like, oh, yes.
So
that makes sense.
So basically you won't do things you don't necessarily want to do.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. But like,
I find it so fascinating that the people that have ADHD the worst are the most successful. Like how did you get successful, become a creative director in advertising with ADHD?
Project managers.
You're like, for other people telling you what to do?
Yes, that's exactly it.
So now, you're, okay, we're getting somewhere here because I feel now I'm like doing a podcast, like, and I'm like, what is that? Like, I don't know, like, SOP when you're a dishwasher, fill up the sink. Like, I know that, or SOP when, you're a chef, turn on the oven.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Make sure the fridge works. When you're like podcasting, and I'm sure when you switch to ice cream, like what were the learning lessons there, that things that you didn't even think about when you opened the ice cream business?
Oh my God. I literally started from nothing.
From nothing.
So figuring out spatial awareness. Like, how much ice cream can I fit in my freezer? When I first started, I was operating illegally.
Did you make way too much at one point? And like, I have no freezer to bring this to?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because I have an ice cream maker at my kitchen.
Yeah.
And then I started my business illegally out of my living room. We rewired the electrical in the house to use an industrial machine. So I have a machine at home.
Are you legal now?
Yes.
Okay, good. We're not gonna get you in trouble.
No.
Shut down by the health department.
No, that already happened.
Oh, it already happened. So, back to your life trajectory. You're in college at this point.
I'm in college. I know I want to go into advertising.
Where'd you go to school?
I spent 1 year at UMiami, and then I transferred to Cornell.
Oh, shit. Miami. What's up?
Yeah, I was like, how do I get as far away from my parents as possible?
Yeah.
And study advertising. And Miami was as far away as possible. And I got there, and on day one, I was like, I hate it already.
Really?
I already knew.
Why'd you hate?
As a New Yorker, like, I wear all black. I've got really big curly hair.
Yeah.
I'm really blunt. I have little interest in like shopping and going to get tan and stuff. And that just like, I just felt so out of place.
Yeah.
Like, when I went to visit the campus, I was like, oh, this is gorgeous. And then when I was moving in, I was like, oh my God, these are not my people.
Right.
And I knew I had to get out like day one.
Okay. So you made that happen. You got out.
I got out.
Go to Cornell.
Yes.
What's it like there? Because I hear
Cold.
people are like, I went to Cornell. It's like, is it really awesome?
It was really fun.
Okay.
My last year, they started shutting down a bunch of bars. They started fencing the bridges.
Why?
I don't know why they were shutting down the bars. They were fencing the bridges because a lot of people were jumping. And
due to the stress of school?
Yeah.
Is it that hard? I thought it was a hospitality school.
Oh, I didn't go to Cornell Hospitality School. That's the one that like everybody wishes that they were in because it's fun. I was in like the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences.
Oh no, chef.
But it's the engineers
of course
that
they
have
chained the bars. Close the bars. That's funny.
Yeah. Okay. The engineers were the ones that were like not doing good, but the hoteliers were all just fucking partying, and they have their own prom, and
they have their own prom.
Yeah, everybody
in college.
Wants to be in. I know.
Damn, that's pretty sickening. Okay, so Cornell University. Did you have a good time there? Did you meet lifelong friends there?
Yeah,
the college experience.
Totally. All of that. I had the best time. I'm still friends with a bunch of people from Cornell, and.
Did you work anywhere during?
In the summers, I was teaching swimming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So swimming's still part of your life, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there an internship in advertising school?
Yeah. I interned my junior and senior year in ad. Ended up by the end of it, because I was the only intern in the creative team who was really like trying to get shit done. They ended up teaming me up with like a senior designer who would normally never even like look at me, but we just paired really well together, and I actually got to make shit, and I was like, this is it. This is all I want to do.
Mm-hmm. When you make stuff, is this digitally? Software programming?
We were like writing out boards for TV ads. I was writing scripts.
How does that work when you write script? Like what kind of, let's give me an example of a commercial you might work on. Is it a car dealership? Is it like what kind of?
Name a
car dealership.
Commercial. So, here. This is probably a similar to a car dealership. I did a commercial for this company down in LA called 1-800-NO-CUFFS, and by company I mean it's a lawyer. He's who you call if you get arrested for having a DUI.
1-800-NO-CUFFS.
1-800-NO-CUFFS. Okay. So me and my creative partner sat down in a room for a few hours, and we're like. We looked at a brief. They want it to be funny. They want it to be memorable. They want it to be weird, attention-grabbing. And we're like, what's the weirdest shit we can think of? For a few hours. And you just brainstorm for hours and hours and hours. And you finally come to like okay, we're going to make a spoof ad that takes a car freshener, and if you're pulled over by the cops, if you eat it, it neutralizes all the alcohol in your system.
Right.
Okay, that's the premise. Now what else can we do? Ooh, we should actually make these air fresheners and make that be a whole promotional campaign.
Right.
You go design stuff. I'll go start writing a few options for scripts. Let's meet back up in 2 days. And then you share work with each other. Mm-hmm. You edit. You get to a page where you're both happy, and then you present it to the client.
Are you working on multiple projects at once?
Yes.
Okay. Like 6 or 7 or more than that?
No, not more than that.
Not more than that. Okay. Is there certain agencies that will give you more of a workload than others?
Well, some agencies have more work than others. Mm-hmm. It also just depends. Like if you're working on a national campaign that's going to have commercials and banner ads and radio spots and print ads and billboards, like is that one project or is that like 15? So every agency does it differently. Some agencies say you work on Nike and that's your client, and others say here's 5 different brands that you write for, but we're only going to give you one project for each. There's a lot of other people on those too. Mm-hmm. And it's also very eat what you kill. So the no cuffs example was easy because somebody came to my creative partner and was just like, I want you to do it. But when you're at an agency, they'll be like, okay, we've got a commercial. You're a pair, you're a pair, you're a pair, copywriter and designer or art director. And here's the brief. All of you are pitted against each other. I want 3 ideas from each of you.
The best pitch wins kind of thing?
Yeah.
Does this make work relations tough? Because there's people that get jealous or...
Some people can hang and some people can't.
So you need to be emotionally stable to be in this kind of working environment.
You would think that, but like, I really think it's very chef similar where, you know, everybody's going for your job. Mm-hmm. And when you have that kind of mentality.
Highly competitive.
Incredibly competitive.
Is there people getting roasted, like yelled at and shit? And like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think, has there been any sort of like probe into that industry about that? Or is that just the way it is? Like chefs right now are dealing with their renaissance of, hey, don't fucking act this way. Has the ad agency been through that?
Sort of. I remember...
Or like as a woman, was it hard to fucking come up through that? Did you feel it in any type of way like that was a hindrance or...
I got really lucky that a lot of my bosses were either women or not horrible. But it still is a boys' club. Like, it just is. The clients want to be talking to men.
Right.
And so it's not even necessarily like what your boss thinks. It's what the client wants. But it was maybe like, I want to say like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I remember in one of the trade papers, they published some creatives at some agency decided they got a pitch that came down and they canceled their bachelor party weekend that they were supposed to go to for their friend in Miami just so they could work on the pitch. And the CEO or president or whatever sent out an email to the agency being like, this is what we want. This is what we need. You don't always get to have fun. You have to sacrifice to be where you're at.
Right.
And then that got published. I was like, what the fuck are we doing? We make commercials. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not saving lives.
Yeah, no, you're not. Same thing happened in the chef industry. Were you guys all watching Mad Men and being like, love this?
No. But
no, The Bear. Have you seen Mad Men? Do you get that when you're like, I'm in advertising?
Every time. But to be fair to Mad Men, it's like very historically accurate. So my parents would watch it and they'd be like, oh, I remember when Park Avenue went that way. And you're like they're just watching it to be able to be like, I remember exactly when BBDO lost that pitch.
Yeah. So it's a historically accurate show with the shit that happened.
Completely.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Damn. That means I got to rewatch. Because I just watched it, the same reason everybody else watched it, to watch Don Draper be a fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
Which is why anybody watches any show nowadays. Crazy. So, what were some of the greatest triumphs during your advertising time? Like Michelin, James Beard type of moments. Were you ever on any teams that experienced those wins or?
Yeah, my first agency that I worked at, TBWA Chiat Day, like Elizabeth Holmes is obsessed with it. That's where she took Theranos because they did 1984 for Apple, which is often considered to be like the end all be all of commercials.
Right. I've seen that before. They
Yeah.
do like the Orson Welles kind of thing.
Yeah. And so I worked in their New York office that when I started, we had like Absolute and Jameson and Skittles and Starburst and Michelin, actually.
Oh, shit.
I worked on a bunch of tire stuff. But I worked on a campaign that won a handful of Cannes Lions, which is like James Beard.
Right.
So that was amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Do you put this on your resume?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, before I even list jobs, I'm like, awards I have won. Cannes Lion.
Mm-hmm. And when you say that Cannes Lion Award, there's so many people involved in that project, right? Is it all their award equally? Or is there like a person that accepts it, like the chef?
Yeah, it's usually either the president of the agency who had nothing to do with it, or the executive creative director who definitely had something to do with it, but it's not the junior copywriter or whoever, like the sound editor, even though their names are on it.
Mm-hmm. So all this sounds awesome. During all this time, is there any times where you're like, fuck this, I hate it?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, my first job, like I was a producer, and being a producer means you have to be really organized, which I am not. And
ADHD brain coming at you.
Like, there was one time my boss sat me down and she was like, we love you. You're great. You contribute so much to the team. That being said, long term, you don't want to be a producer, do you? And I was like, no. Actually, I don't. And I'm really glad that there's no weirdness about this now. I want to be on the creative side. So after that job, that was really like getting to the office at 9, leaving at 10. I slept in the office once from Friday to Tuesday, and I was getting woken up at 4 a.m. and they were like, we need you to call Spain right now. I was like, good morning.
Yes.
You got it. But yeah, after that, so I did that, and then we lost 4 clients in a month, and I think they let go of like 25% of the agency, myself included. And I started trying to really hustle to get on the creative side. And I was going to interviews that were like, for an internship, being like, we love you. We just don't think you have as much experience as some of our other applicants. Right. I was like, I've been working full-time in advertising for 2 years, and I'm not qualified enough for an unpaid internship.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna move to the Bay Area, and I'm gonna try and get my foot in the door there, because New York is just so cutthroat.
Right.
And that's what I did. I came out here and I freelanced and I just hustled.
Had you been here before?
Yeah, my aunt lived in Berkeley at the time.
Okay.
So I'd been out here a bunch of times.
Okay, gotcha. You're familiar with the area.
Yes.
Okay. So you get to SF. Are you, and at this point when you're in your advertising game, are you eating at nice restaurants? Like, are you into food? Or is it kind of like a not really, you eat to sustain and you're not really thinking about where you're going?
Well, I couldn't afford to eat anywhere.
Okay.
I was making like $28,500 a year. I was living in somebody's walk-in closet until, I was in their walk-in closet. Before that, I was living in a illegal basement apartment with 4 dudes. I was 21. They were between the ages of like 28 and 36.
Yeah. How the fuck did you find that?
Craigslist?
Yeah.
Both of them were Craigslist.
Oh, God damn.
Oh, yeah.
Craigslist comes in the clutch, though. Always find something there.
It's all we had the opportunity to use. There was no Facebook Marketplace.
It's true. Facebook Marketplace is the new. That's where the stuff is at right there.
That's where shit goes down.
There's a lot of good antiques places around here, though. They got that one by the Alameda Water. They do it every first Sunday or whatever. That's a good one. And I've been finding a lot of old Le Creuset pans and pots.
Ooh, that's a good find.
That are like they're like $70. I'm like, at the store, this is like $300 right now. So
I'll see you there next.
Food for thought. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bring a cart.
Yeah.
Bring a cart. There's professionals, though. You got to get there early or else all the good shit's going to be gone.
Of
or
course.
Get there later and pay less for shit. Who knows what the best fucking strategy is for that. So you won Michelin awards for advertising.
Yep.
You're pretty much a badass. They're telling you no. What makes you keep going for it? And what was your like next position that you got in San Francisco where you stayed for a while?
Well, so I at this time was like, you know what? Fuck advertising. I'm gonna become an epidemiologist, and I'm gonna move to Australia and get my master's degree in epidemiology.
Chef, where the fuck is this coming from?
I went to a party one night, and I met like an advertising party, and my friend's mom was there, and she was an epidemiologist, and I spent all night talking to her about like her traveling the world and like meeting all these interesting people.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. That's what's next. And then maybe like, that was like in January, and I applied to school in Australia because I was like, I might as well get out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I get in, and now it's like April, and they're like, we need a deposit. And I was like, let me just Google what actually an epidemiologist does.
Yeah.
Or like, what are the classes I'm taking? And it was like, statistical analysis. You work for the WHO, and most of it is actually behind a computer. And I was like, oh, no. I don't think I want to do that. I'll defer for a year if I change my mind, but I'll just move to the Bay Area in the meantime, get me out of New York. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I actually really do want to be in advertising. I was just looking for some sort of out.
Couldn't find it.
No.
So freelancing gigs in SF, how are you getting those? Craigslist? Or through friends?
I think I found the first one through Craigslist. I wrote a bunch of blogs for an Icelandic yogurt company. Mm-hmm. The rest of them, headhunters and recruiters, and sending just cold emails to people being like, I love your agency. Can I meet you for lunch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I did it the whole time for years.
How are you finding these people to email? LinkedIn?
LinkedIn.
Okay. That's where it's at. All right. Very cool. And then fast forward, what were you doing in 2019, 2020, like going into pandemic?
Before the pandemic, I was an associate creative director at an SoFi. It's a student loan refinancing company.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in-house. That's another thing about advertising is that
a student loan refinancing company needs advertising?
Yeah. Well, I guess they now do a lot more than that. They do personal loans. They have a banking platform. They have an investment platform.
That's so crazy.
But everybody needs some level of advertising.
Yeah.
And it's been a big thing in the past few years that I guess in-house people are realizing, in-house like as in for the company themselves. They're like, why would we pay an agency $20K when we could produce the same thing for $5K? We just didn't have the knowledge before, but now there's Google or consultants, and we can just do it ourselves. So a lot of bigger companies started creating their own in-house agencies that just focus on that one brand.
Right. Whoa.
Yeah.
Crazy. When pandemic came, did you get laid off right away?
No, I was there until September.
Working remote?
Yeah.
Okay. So you worked remote, they laid you off. Did you see the layoff coming?
I asked them to lay me off.
You asked them to?
Yeah.
Were you trying to get out of the Bay Area?
No, I think on one hand I was unhappy in the job. And I was unhappy in advertising. And I was unhappy in the job because like I said, I came on to do commercials, and here I am writing banner ad after banner ad after banner ad. It's just not what, at this point in my career, it's not what my job should look like.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I knew that they could easily have somebody much more inexperienced than me do the same job, that we probably were both unhappy with the arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to them about it, and a few weeks later they were like, yeah, and I also knew that like a lot of the senior people had taken pay cuts. More pay cuts were coming for people as the levels went down. So just take myself out of the equation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you have that party. You decide, I'm going to start an ice cream business.
Yeah.
What's your first move?
Figure out a name.
Figure out a name. Okay. And then how'd that go?
I was talking to Mark,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just like, name it after your dog.
Yeah.
And I was like, Walter does not deserve that. He's such an asshole.
Yeah.
And he hates nobody more than he hates Mark.
Right.
So Mark was like, yeah, well, call it Bad Walters then. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's it. Done. It's a temporary thing. We'll see where this goes. And then started an Instagram account and sold the next week.
How many units did you sell that first week?
I want to say like 3.
Okay.
2 of them to people I knew,
Mm-hmm.
and then one of them to a stranger that I was like, how did this person even find me? Why did they trust somebody who has like 28 followers on Instagram?
To sell them fucking ice cream.
Yeah.
It's like,
In their house. Like, I'm just driving up to a random house and ringing a random doorbell. There's no signage.
that's so funny. Okay. When did you see that this was picking up steam?
The second week.
The second week. Okay.
I sold like 7. And I was like, oh.
Double. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And then
What were your first flavors?
the first one I ever did,
And that pickup for the first week, was it one flavor or multiple flavors?
I think I might have only done 1 flavor at first.
Okay.
Maybe I did do 2. I just remember I did. Are you from the East Coast? You are. I already know that. I don't know why I asked that. I'm trying to be not creepy.
It's okay.
Did you ever eat Malamars?
I know what they are, but I never ate them.
Okay. For West Coast people, they're like a layer of graham cookie with a marshmallow on top, dipped in chocolate. And that's the first flavor I did.
Okay. And how did you make this flavor?
I did a graham cracker ice cream with,
Just infusing graham crackers and cream?
yeah,
Okay.
with meringue and chocolate stracciatella and graham cracker streusel on top.
Okay. Do you cold stone it to like get if you have like chunks of brownie going into something, say, are you like, after you make the ice cream, like churning that in by hand?
At the time in the maker I had, I think what I would do is I would layer it in every pint. So every pint, just a little bit of ice cream, mix in, swirl, ice cream.
So you're
mix
crafting
in, swirl.
every pint of ice cream.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And even now, like, there's a lot of debate in the ice cream community about the best way to do mix-ins, but I think ubiquitously, even though it's most time consuming, it's to do everything by hand. So now what I do is I have a 20 quart machine. It all goes into hotel pans, and all the mix-ins go by hand on top, mixed in, and then I hand pack every pint.
Right. So you make sure that every pint has the same amount of mix-in stuff.
Yeah, because if you can get a hopper, you can do shady shit and get the mix-ins in the machine, but the weight distribution can sometimes cause unevenness. So
how do you get the toppings to stop from going to the bottom?
depends on the topping. Caramel, I cook the caramel a little bit longer just so the water evaporates, and that makes sure it doesn't sink. If it's cookie dough, you freeze it, and also it depends on the temperature of the ice cream. So for like any of my boozy flavors that are already soft, I make sure they're pretty frozen before we start packing them into pints.
Mm-hmm.
So that way the stuff doesn't sink.
Right. Yeah, because I've had my favorite ice cream in the world is chocolate chip by Haagen-Dazs, and sometimes when you eat it, all the chocolate chips have gone to the bottom.
Yes.
It's shitty, but also amazing.
I was going to say, is it the worst? No, it's like a surprise.
Yeah, it's a surprise.
It's a reward for eating the ice cream.
Exactly. We should collaborate on a Sucio Talk ice cream.
I'm done.
Brand it. I'm a chocolate lover, so I need like death by chocolate flavor.
So
like sauce, brownie, chips.
Next time I make chocolate, I'll bring some over because my chocolate ice cream is like dark.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's the best.
It's like chocolate. None of this like Wendy's Frosty shit.
Yeah. Wendy's. My dad loves Wendy's Frosties though. But
they are legit.
They're not. The texture I think is what sells it.
Yeah.
For sure, that creaminess. What even is that? What do you think that is?
Air. I think it's like 90% air.
Right. It's gotta be. It's such a weird flavor though, because it's like ice crystals that are almost formed but not quite.
Yeah, it's like a granita-ish, like
that's
melted
what I mean. It's like,
granita.
but you can't ever get the ice. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? The ice will never. So
yeah, like you look at it and you're like, ooh, it looks grainy.
Yeah, and then you eat it and you're like, why is this smooth? It's like curdled ice cream. It's like, why does it look like that but tastes like the best? I don't know. That's weird. It's a weird flavor. Weird texture. Now they have vanilla, though, I think. They changed the flavor now.
They're selling out.
Yeah. What is your guilty pleasure favorite ice cream? Not Haagen-Dazs or Ben & Jerry's. I'm talking like McDonald's sundae.
Oh, Butterfinger McFlurry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Butterfinger McFlurry. Love that.
I don't know if they do them anymore. They're hard to. They used to even be hard to find back in like the 90s. But
yeah.
Give me that Butterfinger McFlurry and we're good.
Other than that, what is your favorite ice cream?
Either Haagen-Dazs coffee.
Okay.
Just like plain simple. I put a ton of sprinkles on it
Java
so I get
chip?
that crunch. Nope. Just coffee.
Just the coffee. Okay.
Or Ben & Jerry's mint and cookies.
All right. I don't know about the mint. I can never do the mint in the dessert.
That's fair. Theirs is pretty sweet. It's mostly sugar.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah, it's not like a minty flavor. It's like when you get like an Andes chocolate, where it's like, I know it's mint, but it's also like a totally different kind of mint.
Mm-hmm. I watched the Ben & Jerry's documentary, and one of them got depressed because he was eating too much ice cream.
Interesting.
Do you feel like you eat more ice cream because you make so much ice cream? Or do you feel yourself not eating that much ice cream anymore?
You know, one summer I worked at a sleepaway camp, and we went to Cold Stone like every day. Actually, let me rephrase that. It was a day camp.
Lazy ass counselors.
Well, no. It was a day camp,
right.
But the counselors slept over.
Okay.
So come 3 p.m., we're all just fucking 16-year-olds with all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Who are getting paid. So we would like go to Cold Stone, we'd go to the mall, we'd just terrorize the town of Nyack in general.
Love the mall.
And I would go to Cold Stone and I would just like look at the people who were smashing the ice cream, being like, you guys have the best job. I would eat so much ice cream, and every time they'd all be like, no. When you work here, you eat more than like you're not craving ice cream.
The fucking smell alone.
Oh yeah.
That shit is rough. And honestly, you got to have some fucking forearm strength.
Oh my God.
To be pressing that. Like, the ice cream is hard. Like, when they go to get it, I'm like, bro, how are you not fucking,
Shit, even like scooping soft ice cream, I can feel a difference in my arms.
I feel like in a couple of years, we're going to see that Judge commercial come on, and they're going to be like, if you worked at Cold Stone Creamery for more than 2 years, you might have rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah, there's a settlement coming
Class
your way.
action lawsuit, baby. You got to be careful. Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, the world of ice cream. Have any of our other ice cream producers like reached out? They want to do any collabs?
There's a really cool Slack channel for like artisan ice cream makers across the country.
Really?
Yeah.
What's it called?
I think it's just like I don't know what the official
Okay.
name is. If anybody's interested in it, hit me up. I can hook you up.
Yeah. The Ice Cream Makers Foundation of America.
More or less. Except like it's all artisans. It's a lot of people who started this near the pandemic
Yeah.
or right before. Not like yeah, a lot of these people don't have shops. They're doing pop-ups. Some of them are getting shops or maybe had a shop before.
Okay.
And yeah, we're like all talking on Slack all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm having problems with this ingredient not freezing correctly. Can anybody help me troubleshoot?
Okay,
And
so good. You guys are it's a community helping each other. It's like the
Yeah.
Great British Bake Off.
yeah, where it's like all
Reddit.
friends.
That's awesome. Love that. Is there any artisans, ice cream artisans that you look up to that you like that are changing the game in your opinion, other than yourself?
That are like small like me.
Just doing things differently.
Yeah. I think oh man, there's a dude in Minnesota. I want to say it's like Hopkins, Minnesota. A to Z Creamery, and I know he's just like slaying it every week.
Okay.
But like in Minnesota in the suburbs, like there is I don't know who even out there is doing artisanal ice cream or there's this dude David Wright. He owns a place called Wright Cream in Denver, and the shit that comes out of his brain is like what? Like every flavor has like 8 flavors to it. So it's like it's not just like cookie dough, it's like peanut butter M&M cookie dough.
Damn.
Inside strawberry cheesecake ice cream with chocolate mocha swirl. Like just there's no ingredient that's
Right.
just like a normal ingredient. It's insanity.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Man. That's so cool. What is your goal with this ice cream? Do you want to have a brick and mortar? Do you want to ship all over the world?
A brick and mortar wasn't originally my plan, but ice cream has a lot of legal around it, like more legal than any other food business.
Right. You have your own health department
Yeah.
here in California.
Yeah.
They
And
check your ice cream machine.
yes.
It's usually like a 15-year-old person.
Yeah, well, I felt awful when the inspector came and like did a walkthrough of the kitchen. I asked him a million questions like, can I sell this here? Can I do this? And everything he was like, I don't know. And I was like, so you're not saying no? And he was like, it's a gray area. I don't recommend it. And I was like, you're not saying no.
Yeah. You're like, please tell me no. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'll do all of this.
I will do it.
Yeah.
But so I legally am not allowed to sell off premise from my commissary.
Okay.
And
Who's looking at that? Who's like going to come get you if that happens?
well, I don't think I would have been as worried about it before, but since I already was shut down once and I got a cease and desist from the health department when I was operating out of my house,
Yeah.
if I fuck up again, there's a very lovely fine that will be coming my way.
That's got to be from people snitching, no?
Yeah.
There's no other fucking way.
Yeah. Well, I did have some press at the time. I had some good press at the time.
Right.
But nonetheless, like they're not reading the press looking for people to get. So there's a few theories. One is that it was a neighbor of mine. I don't think that that's the case, being that I give all my neighbors free ice cream. Like anybody who walked by would be like, hey, I saw a line outside your house. I'd be like, here, please take some ice cream. So I think that kept just about everybody happy.
Yeah.
Another theory.
You're bribing them with ice cream?
Yeah.
Right here on Sucio Talk, committing crimes. Arkin. She'll bribe you with ice cream.
Yes.
Get pulled over on the way to...
I just happen to have 5 pints of ice cream.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, and then another theory is that it was a competitor, somebody who was jealous or trying to claw. I can't imagine it was that either. I do know of a local ice cream company who did call the health department on a indie pop-up though, so it might have been it. And then the last idea was that it was somebody who was disgruntled about not getting any ice cream, considering I was selling out in like literally 2 to 3 minutes.
Right.
And so
the food police is out there.
Yes.
The food neighborhood watch is fucking out there.
The food Karens.
Well, I'm here to tell them, go fuck yourself. All right? Food Karens, all right? We don't fucking need you, bro. Out here trying to make delicious ice cream. What dairy do you use?
I use Clover lactose-free milk.
Okay.
My ice cream is lactose-free.
Okay. So explain that to me, because are you lactose
intolerant?
No, but it's been a long time since. Because when I read it, I was like, how can milk be lactose-free? Is it like, do they have to bring it up to a certain temperature? Is it a laser treatment?
So this is like the one place where going to the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences has helped me just a tiny bit. Lactose is a type of sugar.
Right.
And it breaks down into glucose and galactose. And your body produces an enzyme called lactase that does all the breaking down of the lactose. Lactose intolerance is when your body no longer produces that enzyme. And so lactate pills are a form of lactase enzyme. And so I do some chemistry so the milk is already lactose free. That's delactosed at the Clover farm, whatever. And then they don't make lactose free cream. So I use a lactase enzyme to break down the lactose in the cream before it hits the body.
Okay.
Yes.
And this allows lactose intolerant people to enjoy your ice cream.
Yes.
This on purpose?
Yeah. I mean,
Are you lactose intolerant?
I am now, but I wasn't when I started this. Yeah.
Do you think it's because you've been eating?
I have a bunch of stomach issues. So basically that's why I started doing it lactose free. I have something called gastroparesis where my stomach is actually paralyzed. And so while it takes most people 4 hours to digest, it takes me like 12. And there's a bunch of different diets that you can do to help with that. And one of those is having lactose free stuff. So I'm also like, I already know cheese, or most cheese is lactose free. And I was like, yes, give me all the cheese. Like, you know, it's not as restrictive as being completely off dairy.
Right.
But that's why I started delactosing it. That, and, you know, I'm Jewish, and Jews and Asians are the two largest populations in the world with lactose intolerance. And, yeah, I was like, I want to be able to feed my people, and a lot of my friends are Asian, and I want them to eat my ice cream. I want it to be as like friendly as possible without being vegan, because vegan ice cream just doesn't live up. I've yet to have an ice cream where I'm like, nope, it lives up to the hype. It's still fake.
So vegan ice cream to you is a lie.
Yeah.
It's all lies. Okay.
All lies.
Heard that. Do you make any? So you would never make like an oat milk ice cream or anything like that?
I think if and when I have a brick and mortar, I'll probably have to, but I've not really considered up until now. I'm more interested in sorbets. So if I'm going to do vegan stuff, sorbets are going to take priority.
Okay. Understood. Are you doing any fruit bases right now?
Not in ice cream. I do a lot of fruit swirls and fruit mix-ins. I find that depending on the fruit... Oh, well, I do a lemon ice cream. Like a sour lemon ice cream with lemon curd and shortbread cookies. That's one of my best sellers.
Have you ever run into the problem of, like, say you're, putting a bunch of ice cream into pints, running out of like cookies, shortbread cookies, and being like, fuck, we need to make more cookies right now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So now I try and overdo everything. Overshoot. Which doesn't always happen, but I try to overshoot, and then I have, like this much cookie left that can't fit for a whole base. But I'm working on doing things with all those surplus that would let me, use up all my ingredients, share the love, clean out my storage, etc.
Dope. Okay. Cool. How close are you to a brick and mortar?
Oh, so I think I'm pretty close. Because when I get this if and when I get my brick and mortar, I'll be able to create a kitchen that is certified to let me sell off premise. That's like really what led me down the road to wanting a brick and mortar. And I had 3 leases last year fall through. So I'm working on another one, but I'm not betting on it until I've got the keys in my hand.
Right. What happens with those leases that you lost them?
One of them, the landlord decided that they didn't want to invest in the infrastructure to build out the space, and that was not worth it to me. Another one, the building got bought by another holding company, and they no longer wanted to demise this space in half, and I was only going to be taking half of the original square footage. And then the last one, the landlord thought that I would be a better fit for the space that I'm negotiating now.
Okay, got you. Pinball.
Yep. And I'm just like, just tell me where I'm going to be.
Yeah, just keep making the fucking ice cream. What's the largest amount of ice cream you've sold in 1 week?
I take 300 pints.
300 pints. Damn. That's a lot of freezer space.
It is a lot of freezer space, especially because I'm paying for freezer space.
And, in any business you have struggles. Is there any struggles after the customer receives the ice cream? Is there any times that they're like, hey, I don't really like this flavor, or I didn't expect this when I ordered it? Or is it people that just kind of know you now and they're like, we love whatever you make?
I think the majority of my customers are, I was just looking at the stats recently. I think 20% is usually new customers and 80% are returning. So most of the people who are returning are just like, whatever you make, we'll buy. I'm trying to think of, I think there's only been like 2 times that people have gotten ice cream and reached out to me and were like, I really don't like this. And then I refunded them. But like, I can think of one off the top of my head. We had like an issue with some of the mix-ins that had a little too much salt, and I surveyed everybody in the kitchen and everybody's like, it's salty, but it still tastes amazing.
Right.
And one person was like, no, it's too salty for me. And I was like, absolutely knew this could be a problem. I will reimburse you. I'm sure that happened one other time, but not that I can pinpoint.
Yeah, it's like people oversalt desserts all the time. Sometimes when you go get a chocolate chip cookie and they'll be like, oh, it has salt on it, but way too much fucking salt. It's ruining the chocolate chip cookie now, Damn, it's crazy. Where do you get your analytics?
I use Square for pickups so I pre-sell all of my pints of ice cream. And then I have ice cream in what I call little baddies. It's like a 6-ounce cup that's pre-packaged and pre-scooped out. And those are available for walk-ups. And if you're coming from walk-up, everything's through Square. But if you're buying everything online, if you're buying your pints, I use a platform called Hot Plate. They're fantastic. I highly recommend them. And they have a whole section on analytics.
Okay. Do you have anybody else helping you right now? What's your team size?
Right now, it's just me and my friend, assistant, sous chef, everything, Madison. You ask, like, with ADHD, how do you get anything done? And it's
Madison.
Like, it's her. It's absolutely her. Like, yeah, like, even when I'm like, no, I got this, I'll get a text message in the morning that's like, reminder, here are the following things that need, like, thank you. You knew that I would forget. She's the yin to my yang. So
it's definitely necessary for people with ADHD to have a support team and be nice about it, like, because I know what it's like to have a person who's like, what the fuck? Like, how
did you forget
Yeah,
this?
how could you ever, and And then there's other people that are much more gentle, and they're like, oh, hey, just a light suggestion.
She's very graceful.
You know? Yeah.
I would lose my head without her.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you see another solution for the ADHD, or do you find yourself just like, I'm doing this medicine and I'm just going to keep taking the medicine until I'm done, you know?
I'm like, I mean, I'm always trying to find hacks, like keeping everything written down in a notebook. But then what happens if I don't have a pen? I'm too ADD to be like, I'm going to take a minute and go get a pen. And I'm like, no, I'll remember it. Yeah. Don't worry. Or let me start a list in my phone. And then like 6 months later, I'm like, what the fuck does eggs mean? Like, you know, yeah. Like there's just.
Do you have the problem? I have this problem. I'll start too many notebooks. Yes. I'll write like 2 pages worth of shit, and then I'll be like, I need a new notebook because I messed it up.
Or like, I'm going to be so organized. I'm going to put this here and this here to keep it separate. And then I'm like, I lost one. I lose everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have tiles, like, you know, like the little BB thing on my keys and my purse and my jacket, like everywhere. That really helps. Tile. Or Apple has...
Oh, so you have like a key ring, basically.
Yeah, with a little square that says tile on it. And
like you look on your phone and it'll show you?
It'll create a sound. It'll tell you like, it's been left behind. And you're like, oh, shit.
Really? What's the app called?
Tile. Yeah.
Dope.
Got that.
Yeah.
Other than that, like TikTok. TikTok has like really pinpointed how ADD I am and ADHD I am. And yeah, I get like my entire feed is like, are you suffering from this? Try doing this. And I'm like, yeah. Except you know, then I forget what it is. But
well, I think that I don't know what's happening in the world, but now everything is receiving a definition. So any little like maybe offensive thing that we didn't know what the fuck to call it, like everything has a thing now.
Yes.
And so now on social media, I find people describing exactly how. So it used to be for any kind of medication, it's like, do you have fucking, you know, do you breathe when you wake up? And you'd be like, yeah, I do. And then you feel
how
like
did you know?
Yeah. But then when these people online will like explain it with a graph, and I'm like, that is exactly what's going on, you know? So I just tried different things.
What's working for you?
Honestly, the loud music helps get projects done, but I've also taken pressure will also let me do things.
That's actually proven for ADD and ADHD.
Like for the website, like I just said it on the podcast.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh shit, no, you better have your website by Monday or else people are going to think you're a flake. Do you want people to think you're a flake? No. Okay, then do the thing.
I'm trying to remember. My therapist explained this to me. Yeah. That's like, by creating the external pressure, you have another voice in your head.
Yeah.
That's like, now it's not just you doing it, but like you have the additional, I can't do anything without a deadline.
Yeah. So, and that's.
But if I make the deadline, if I just say like, my deadline for me is
this, then you're like, oh, 5 more minutes, you know? So that's why I call making things Dave proof. Like I know I'm clumsy. So like I won't put the water right there where it's at. Cause I know if I'll go do this and then just knock it over. That's why there's a half sheet tray right here. Cause I know if I knock over water, like it won't damage the equipment. So
it's like I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, that's true. It's like it's pinball, right? So you're like creating barriers so your ball doesn't go too far somewhere where you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know, because I have a hard time reading. Like sitting down and reading something is very difficult for me. I can't finish books usually. So listening to them loud helps me fucking focus on them because I'm like, it's the only thing that I'm doing. I felt like the road trip helped me like the long drives
Yeah.
for some reason. But I feel like it's only because my mind can race and it can go wherever it wants. So I find that's another thing that for people that have ADHD, it's also good to let your mind do the thing
Yeah.
that it wants to do, like be in its original state rather than trying to be this organized person.
But it's like you have to do something else to be able to get there.
Exactly. So it's just about, I'm just trying to figure out who I am without trying to circumvent the things that like making things Dave proof. Like, who am I if I'm not clumsy? And how do I act like that person? You know? But it's super hard. No one has the answer. Everyone just has little hacks that they do here and there. But at the end of the day, it just feels like a boat that you're patching. And it just we're rowing, and we like almost see the land, but we can't see it. And I don't think that anybody really has a right answer. And that's when I think that we're all just on the spectrum.
Yes.
Like ADHD has to be a version of being what the fuck is that word?
Autistic?
Autistic, yeah. A form of it.
According to TikTok, which is where I get all of my medicine.
Yeah.
I think there's a higher likelihood that if you have ADHD, that you are autistic. There's like the overlap is greater than either just having ADHD or having autism, according to TikTok. But yeah, I buy that.
Yeah. So, but then I think like there's people that have made it that have it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But what I've realized is you just need a team around you. You need like people that are good at different things in order to form the society and the, ethos and the place you want to live in your life. And I feel like if everybody just focuses on themselves, which is not what we fucking do, then we'll get somewhere, whatever that means. I don't know. But then you're like, what is somewhere? And when we get there, my ADHD brain is going to be like, okay, cool, you figured it out.
Bored.
But like, now what? I'm bored. Yeah. And then you have to open up some other kind of business. Like, so it's all right. Well, cool. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Sucio Talk, hanging out. I'm going to put the camera on you. You tell the people, pitch your shit. Tell them where they can find you. Tell them when you're open.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Bad Walters.
Okay.
If you follow me on Instagram, I send a DM to everybody individually. I do it myself. Some people are like, this is a nice automated system, but it's me. Just about how to order. If you don't have Instagram or you don't feel like following me, whatever, you can you can buy my ice cream on hotplate.com/badwalters. Ice cream goes on sale on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. And occasionally, if I have some extra pints, they'll go on sale 9:30 a.m. on Friday. Pickup is on Saturday from 11 to 1 at Corner Kitchen in Fruitvale.
Dope. All right. Awesome. You heard that all. Sydney Arkin, chef, thank you so much for being on the show. Fucking Sucio Talk podcast brought to you by Truffle Shuffle and myself.
Nice.
And go get yourself some ice cream. Peace out, everyone.